I'm a mom in northern Colorado, and my little girl at just 12 years old was targeted with gender ideology in her public school 6th grade classroom. She thought she was attending an art club, and when she got there, it was Gender and Sexuality Awareness Club, or GSA. And an outside activist had been brought in to talk to the kids about puberty blockers, polyamory. They told her if she's not fully comfortable in her biological sex, that means she's transgender. They told her because she didn't know who she's sexually attracted to, that means she's queer. They handed out a contact number to reach the activist, and they told her parents might not be safe and that it's okay to lie to your parents about this meeting. Nothing in life prepares you for that moment when your child comes home from a regular Tuesday at school and they're completely confused with transgenderism, which is something we had no knowledge of prior to that day. It was, a range of emotions. We were scared, we were angry that this had happened to her, we were sad that she was already in this deep state of confusion, and we hadn't been notified that any of it was happening. And so we tried to do things the right way and follow the proper channels by reaching out to the school and the school board, and we got no answers from them. In fact, we got pushback, and all of the avenues that we took led to them being proud of what they had done with our daughter. Unfortunately, gender ideology takes a stronghold of vulnerable children, and she really identified with that transgender label, and it took 9 months to pull her out of the dark cloud. So after the 9 months of dark, clouded confusion had been lifted and she began to realize what had happened to her, she was angry. We watched the What is a Woman movie, and she said, "Mom, why didn't I understand this was happening to me when it was happening? And what can I do to make sure this doesn't happen to other little girls?" And I said, "You let me tell your story." And so it's with her full support that we have been so vocal and public with what happened to us, because we feel an obligation to protect others. I cannot express enough how scary it is to go public with a situation like this that pertains to your young child. And what I've learned is that there are thousands and thousands of parents like me, just in the state of Colorado alone, who've been affected by this agenda, and they're afraid to speak up. So when we went public, of course there was a lot of hate that came at us. We're called bigots and haters and murderers, but what we found also was there's so many people who care about the issue, and they're appreciative that we're speaking up. Parental rights are under attack throughout the country, but especially here in Colorado. I feel like we're ground zero for the government taking authority over our children. There are laws in Colorado that were mostly passed in 2019 that really usurp parental rights and enable 12-year-olds and up to be the steward of their own mental health care decisions, that require therapists to only affirm gender-confused youth. And so when we reached out to doctors for help and therapists for what had happened to our daughter, it made things worse because of these laws and because of the mentality that as parents you must affirm gender confusion, that you are hateful and bigoted and you will harm your child and cause them to be suicidal if you don't go along with the gender confusion. And we knew as parents that was not the right answer for our child, that we had to stand between this confusion and her well-being. And so we immediately pulled her out of school. We took the approach of not affirming her male identification, and we sought help from church, from family organizations who were faith-based. We removed the negative influences in her life and replaced them with positive influences, because affirming children in this confusion only leads to more harm. So after this happened, I learned the power of public record request, which I had not ever done before. And I learned that our government's beholden to us. We can see their emails, their calendars, what they're doing behind closed doors. And what I found is that there's a deep agenda to transition children behind parents' backs. I found a 15-page transgender toolkit that has a gender support plan within it. And the very first question in this plan is, are the parents supportive? If no, how do we accommodate? So their plan is to transition kids and lie to parents right off the bat. When your child suffers gender confusion, the world tells you to go along with it, that you must affirm it or you're a bigot, you're a hater, you're unloving, you're unsupportive. And I've received all of those criticisms, but now on the other side, that my daughter, the dark cloud has been lifted and she's back to her old self, a new, improved, stronger version of herself. I understand that we have to trust our instinct as parents, and that the best thing we can do is not lie to our children. My daughter is thriving. She has completely desisted the transgender identity. It's been almost 3 years now. And so she's had a lot of time to heal and to reflect on what's happened to her. And she's even in a place now where she has a desire to minister to other kids who are going through this confusion. If she sees someone who is clearly suffering gender confusion, she'll approach them and pray for them and give them advice, help them get to the root of where the confusion came from, and just share her story of overcoming. Prior to this happening, I would self-describe us as sleepwalking parents, blindly trusting the schools, as lazy Christians. I was raised with ritual, not relationship with him. My husband was raised in an almost anti-religious household, and this happened, and the only way we could have gotten through it is with God's grace, is with his guidance. And so our whole family has embraced relationship with him. We have really grown in our faith, and it's something that we all share together, and we're a better family because of it. This battle on our children with gender ideology is a spiritual battle. And truly, we saved our family when we recognized we're not fighting people, we're fighting powers and principalities, that this is not an earthly fight, and there's no way we could have made it through to the other side without faith. And I think the most important thing we can do for our children is to teach them God's truth, that we are made male and female, that God does not make mistakes when he makes you. It's the way that we can safeguard our children, because this is such a cultural issue. It's coming at them from every angle. If not in public schools, they see it on TV, in commercials, on billboards. It's just coming at them from every angle. And so we've got to equip our kids with the knowledge that God made us perfectly.